we talked about retiree health insurance, and it's a nice benefit, but it doesn't get you all where they were and you go. So this is where the post-employment health plan comes in. The post-employment health plan is a VEBA. It's a 501c9 under the tax code, and it provides for members with tax-free contributions, tax-free investment earnings, and tax-free reimbursement of qualified health care expenses as defined by the IRS, regardless of age, regardless of years of service, or regardless of your insurance provider. So this is one of those things that fills some of the gaps that are left behind your by your drop, your pension, and all those things. This is one of those places that fills some that can fill some of those things to think about. An individual account established for each participant in the PEP. PEP account may be used for reimbursements of qualified premium expenses for health, dental, vision, Medicare Part B, Medicare supplements, long-term care insurance. So again, this one, when the retiree health insurance only covers your health insurance premiums, you still got those dental and visions if you want them, or you still got your Medicare and all those things. This is where that PEP comes in, and you can fill some of that gap. Also qualified medical expenses. So if you have co-pays or out-of-pocket expenses on your plan, you can use it. So again, it offers a lot of flexibility. There are some things to think about too. We'll talk about those in a second here. So the sources of money into your PEP are three places. Right now, when you separate from employment, whether that's retiring after 40 years or get fired, whatever unused vacation time you have coming to you. In the old days, we used to pay it out. Guys would get a check and they'd go out and buy a boat or take a vacation or do whatever. Now, you don't get that check anymore. You get that money deposited tax-free into your post-employment health plan account. Annually, also, if you're able to sell days into your vacation, up to 300. If your bank is full, you can sell up to 4 days of vacation every year into your post-employment health plan. So that's 96 hours of your time. And again, people ask why 96 or why 312? Well, because when we created this benefit, the city said, yeah, we brought it to the city, said, this is what we want for our members. We want to be able to help them retire. And they said, well, that's a fantastic benefit, but we can't afford that. So they said, anything that doesn't cost you money or doesn't cost the city money, we're willing to, we don't care. If you can figure out how to fund it, we'll let you do it. Well, that's the first step was they were already paying out those people when they retired. They were writing them a check. They didn't care whether it went to you or whether it went to your PEP. They're writing that check no matter what. So that was no new money to the city. They said, yeah, we can do that. And then we said, well, that's not enough. I mean, these guys are getting $15,000, $20,000 checks, which is nice, but that's, at $2,000 a month, that's 7 months of health insurance. Not enough. So that's when we negotiated later on that, hey, if your bank's full and I'm going to take a vacation day, you're going to pay me to be off or you're going to pay somebody else to be there. Why don't you let me sell my days? There's, again, no new money. If my bank's full, I'm taking that day. You're paying for it. And they said, well, okay, that makes sense. So they allowed us to sell back days if our banks were full. Why 4 days? It was what we could get them to do. And there is value in taking your vacation. If you sold back all your days all the time, you're going to be a miserable person. You can't go 30 years without taking vacation days. It's not good for you. So again, it was a happy balance of what we could get that was a meaningful amount of money and what made sense and what the city was willing to agree to. And then after that, we said, hey, not everybody, people need their time off. They need it. So at least, how about you throw us a little bit of money? And that's where they also contribute $250 a year to everybody's PEP account. There's an account out there for you, whether you know it or not. If you've never sold a vacation day in your life, you've taken them all, God bless you. But you do have an account out there with Nationwide that's got at least $250 a year plus interest, plus whatever it's invested in and however it grows. So you've got money out there to use after you separate. And again, it's when you separate, so you don't have to be retired. It's whenever you leave the job, and there is flexibility. You don't have to stay on the locals insurance. You don't have to stay, you can. I'm moving to Florida. I'm going, or you can use it for your spouses or whatever. So that's where some of this flexibility comes in. The contributions are invested and the earnings accumulate tax-free. This is one of the only plans. This is one of the only places you're ever going to find where your money's never taxed. It goes in there tax-free. It grows tax-free. You get to choose what it's invested in, from a fixed account, getting 0.5%, or to a core of investment options, asset allocation funds and standalone funds, and so you get to choose what it grows, and all that growth is tax-free. And when you take it out, it's tax-free. And you get to pick within that core. you get to pick how that money is invested. So the money you put in your PEP can be used for any qualified dependent that you're eligible to deduct on your federal income taxes. So it's defined by the IRS. If they're your dependent, you can use that money to pay premiums. So that's where you can get on your spouse's plan, for example, and you can pay the whole premium. You don't just get to pay your portion, or you get to pay your premium because it's covering you and somebody else that you could cover if you had the insurance. If you die, the PEP account balance is transferred to your spouse or your qualified dependents. And again, that's defined by the IRS. So it's not just goes to my kids. It's only if your kids are still on your taxes, basically. So it's an adult dependent child or that child that hasn't aged out yet. So they can use theirs for their medical expenses and their premiums. But if upon your death you have no dependents, your PEP account balance is not part of your estate. It goes back to the VEBA, to the group, and it'll be divided equally among all members in the IFP with a PEP account balance. So if we've got $10,000 left in your account when you die, and you don't have any dependents or whatever, each one of us out there is going to get one 1/1200th of $10,000 or whatever that number is. We're going to get some of your money. So again, that's something to think about. So you can use it. This is one of the pros for this is it can make up that 51% that the retiree health insurance isn't being covered right now. It's a way to get that $700 to $2,000 or $1,400 up. It's flexible. It's all those premiums. It's not just your health insurance like the retiree health insurance is. Out of pockets and co-pays is good. No age restrictions on when you can use it. It's not limited to our option. It is investable. It is inheritable with exceptions. Like I said, they have to be qualified dependents. And it's tax-free. It's never taxed. So it's a great deal. Some of the things to think about, though, it's only inheritable to those qualified dependents. If you die with no dependents, it's not inheritable. It's divided among the trust members, like I said. The returns aren't guaranteed, and your investments could lose money. That's a realistic. That's a chance you have to be willing to take with your money. That's where people say, "Well, I don't like this," and it's like, well, when you think about it, say you got $100,000, and that seems like a lot of money, and it is. If somebody just hands you $100,000, you're going to be happy about it. But when you're talking about $1,000, $1,200 a month in premiums that you got to make up, that $100,000 not that's 7 or 8 years worth of retirement. So again, if you're planning on retiring for less than 8 years, then just take all your time. I mean I get it, and that's the one thing. That's the one thing that none of us like about this, but that's to able to get all those tax-free benefits. That's what the IRS said the rules are. So you do have to put a number in your head of, well, how much do I really need in there? I'm gonna work till I'm 67, so I'm not even gonna be on the city's insurance. I'm gonna do this and that. I'm just gonna have Medicare. Well, again, you're gonna have Medicare premiums, and we're gonna talk about those too. So, but you got to have a number in your head. It's like, I want 50,000 in there. Or I want 100,000, or I want whatever. So that's where you just don't sell your time anymore. If you say, I feel like I'm not gonna outlive this money, and I don't want to give it back to any of you guys. No offense, but so again, that's also, you get to choose when you use this money and how you take this money out. So in my mind, this is the money you spend first because it's tax free and it lets your other stuff grow. So if it's not enough, I got 30,000 in there, and that's only going to get me a couple years worth. Okay, well, I can let my deferred comp and other things grow before I have to tap into those, and hopefully that makes up the difference. So you decide when you want to get it. When you separate, you don't have to. You can and again, everybody's number is different. If your wife's 8 years younger than you are, and it's like, I'm going to have to provide for her for a lot longer. So I may not take any of this money right now. I know I'm going to die before she does, and I want to leave that so that she's covered. Those are decisions that every one of us has to make. But in my mind, this is the money you spend first because you could lose it, in a sense, to the group. So again, but everybody's number is different, and everybody's mindset, what you're trying to do with that money is different. But if you're just afraid you're gonna outlive it or not outlive it, you're going to have a pretty big number or live a very short time, and that does happen. There's plenty of guys that retire and 12 months later they're dead. It's like, well, that you can't plan your retirement based on I'm not going to make it, because if you do, then don't plan anything. Just spend it, go nuts.